The year was 2290. Earth had changed a lot. Cities floated in the sky. People traveled to Mars like it was a nearby town. Machines could do almost everything. But even in this advanced world, there were still things money could not fix. Mr. Cale Draven was one of the richest men in the galaxy. He built machines that could think, fly, and even repair themselves. His home was a giant sky tower above the clouds, full of robots, smart walls, and clean air. But inside that shining tower, something was broken. His only son, Lucan, had not. Walked in 4 years. Lucan was 16 years old. He was once full of energy, always running, building tiny robots and asking big questions. But one day, during a test flight on Mars, the shuttle crashed. His back was broken. Since then, he could not walk. He could not even feel his legs. Doctors from every planet tried to help. Machines were built just for him. Cale used his fortune, his friends, and his own inventions. But nothing worked. Lucan stopped smiling. He stopped laughing. He would sit by the window in his wheelchair, watching the stars, silent. Cale loved his son more than anything. He could build a robot in 1 hour, but he could not fix the sadness in Lucan's heart. He knew something had to change. One evening, as Cale looked at his son sleeping, an idea came to him. It was not a machine or a medicine. It was something human. He whispered. Maybe what he needs is not science, but someone who sees him. The next day, Cale called his team. I want to arrange something special, he said. A blind date. Everyone in the room looked shocked. A blind date? For Lucan? Yes, Cale said. He needs to meet people his age. Someone kind. Someone who talks to him, not to his chair. He gave orders. Invitations were sent across the colonies, Earth, the Moon, Venus, Mars, Europa, and more. Girls between 16 and 18 were chosen. Smart girls. Kind girls, all from different places. They were told very little. Only that a special boy wanted to meet them. The galaxy became curious. Who was the boy? Why the secret event? But Cale ignored the noise. He only cared about one thing, his son's smile. On the day of the event, the sky home was shining. Flowers were placed around the garden. Soft music played. Robots served fruit juice and snacks. Lucan sat quietly in his wheelchair, wearing a simple white shirt. His hair was neat. His face was calm, but inside his heart beat fast. Dad. This feels strange, Lucan said. Cale smiled gently. You don't have to like anyone. Just talk, just see. Lucan nodded slowly. The first girl arrived. She was from Luna City. She wore a silver dress and talked about her art. She was polite, but she kept glancing at Lucan's chair. She smiled too much, like she was trying hard to be nice. Lucan listened, but said very little. The next girl came. She was from Mars. She spoke loudly and laughed a lot. She talked about herself, her travels, and her dreams. But not once did she ask Lucan anything personal. Girl after girl came. Some were friendly, some were shy, but all of them looked at Lucan with the same eyes, soft, careful, distant. Cale watched from a nearby room, feeling worried. Then, the door opened one last time. A girl stepped in. She was simple. No fancy clothes, no makeup. Her dress was made of soft brown cloth. She wore a small pendant around her neck, and in her hand she held a white flower. Lucan looked up, confused. The girl walked up to him slowly. She didn't speak. Right away, she didn't look at the wheelchair. She looked into his eyes. She smiled and said, Hi, I'm Alira. This flower is for you. It grows on Europa. It's rare, but strong. She gently placed the flower in Lucan's hand. Lucan stared at it. The petals were soft and white, glowing faintly in the garden light. No one else had brought him a gift. No one else had spoken. So gently, he smiled. A small, real smile. Thank you, he whispered. They sat down near the garden fountain. Elira didn't talk too much. She asked Lucan about his favorite machines, about the stars he could see from his window. She didn't ask about his accident. She didn't look at his legs. She asked, "What do you want to build next?" Lucan's eyes lit up. "I've been working on a memory bot," he said. "It can record moments, like dreams." Elira's eyes sparkled. "That's beautiful." They talked for a long time. Time passed without anyone noticing. Cale, watching from inside, felt something he had not felt in years. Hope. When the evening ended, all the girls were thanked and sent back to their rooms. Some were smiling, some looked confused. But Elira stayed behind for a moment. She looked at Lucan and said, "I don't care who you are. I just wanted to meet the boy who looked at the stars alone." Lucan nodded, holding the white flower in his lap. "Will you come back tomorrow?" he asked. Elira smiled. "If you want me to." Then she turned and walked away. Lucan rolled back to his room. He placed the white flower in a glass dome on his shelf. The petals were still fresh. He looked at the stars through his window again. But this time, he didn't feel alone. The morning sun rose slowly above the floating city. Cale Draven sat in his Skyhome's glass lounge, watching clouds drift below. He sipped a warm cup of herbal tea, but his thoughts were not on business today. He was thinking about the white flower. Lucan had not smiled like that in years. Not since the accident. And now, after just one meeting with Elira, something inside him had changed. Cale had seen it in his eyes. It was small, but real, like the first spark before a fire begins. To burn. Cael leaned forward and whispered to himself, maybe this blind date idea wasn't so foolish. Meanwhile, Lucan sat beside his window, looking at the glass dome on his desk. Inside it, the white flower still looked fresh. He touched the dome gently and smiled. His robot assistant, Dre, floated nearby. "You are smiling again, sir. Should I mark this as a rare event?" Lucan chuckled softly. "Very funny, Dre." He remembered Elira's voice, her calm words, and her smile. She didn't treat him like glass. She didn't act like she was trying to impress him. She was just herself. Lucan looked outside. "Do you know if she's still here?" "She has not left the Sky Home yet," Dre replied. Lucan turned his chair toward the door. "Then I want to see her again." Cale had planned for all 10 girls to stay for 2 more days in the guest wing. It was part of the arrangement. He didn't want just one short meeting. He wanted Lucan to truly connect, to find someone who could bring light into his world again. The 10 girls came from different parts of the galaxy. Some were born on space stations. Others had grown up on dusty moons or green domes on faraway planets. Each one had a different story. But they all had one thing in common. They were curious about the boy in the chair. Today, they were gathered again in the garden lounge. Lucan rolled in, and the room became quiet. He felt their eyes turn toward him. Some smiled politely. Others whispered softly to each other. But Lucan was not looking at them. His eyes searched for one face. Then he saw her, Elira, sitting by the small tree at the edge of the room. She was holding a datapad and writing something. Her hair was tied back. She looked peaceful. Lucan moved toward her. A few girls watched with surprise. One girl from Venus leaned toward another and whispered, "She brought a flower yesterday." "Didn't she? That's why he likes her." Elira noticed Lucan coming and looked up. She smiled. "Hey," she said. "Hi," Lucan replied. "Are you writing something?" Elira turned her pad around. "Just a poem. It's about stars that fall but still shine." Lucan smiled. "Sounds like something I'd build into a bot." They both laughed. Across the room, the other girls started to feel uneasy. One girl, named Vera, from a wealthy family on Earth, frowned. She had dressed her best and spoken politely during her meeting with Lucan, but now she felt ignored. Another girl, Zila from Ceres Colony, watched Elira and said, "She's not even from the main list, is she?" But no one truly knew who Alira was. She didn't talk about herself much. She didn't mention her home, her family, or even how she came to the event. Lucan didn't care. As the day passed, Cale watched the group from a private screen in his office. His security bots recorded everything for safety. But now he wasn't watching for danger. He was watching his son grow. Alira talked to Lucan like no one else did. She asked good questions. She waited for answers. She didn't rush to speak. Sometimes they just sat together in silence. And Lucan seemed different. He didn't look sad. He didn't hide behind short replies. He even really laughed once, when Alira told a funny story about chasing wild robot birds back on Europa. Cale smiled softly. But then his assistant, Mora, entered with a serious face. "Sir," Mora said, "there's something strange about that girl." Cale turned. "Alira?" "Yes, I ran a check on all guests again this morning. Standard protocol. All 9 girls have official records, family, school, travel ID. And Alira?" Cale asked. "Nothing," Mora said. "No file, no birth logs, no travel history. It's like she doesn't exist." Cale stood up slowly. "Find out everything you can." Quietly. That evening, the girls were invited to a dinner in the Crystal Hall. The walls changed color with soft lights. A gentle melody played in the background. Lucan sat near the head of the table. He talked with 2 girls kindly, but his eyes kept moving toward Alira, who sat 3 seats away. The other girls tried to impress Lucan. One talked about flying her own shuttle at age 14. Another said she had met the president of Titan once. But Lucan gave short replies. Then Alira spoke up, not loudly, but clearly. "Lucan," she said, "you said yesterday your dream was to build a memory bot. I was thinking, what if it could share emotions too?" Lucan looked at her surprised, like, "Feel what someone else felt in a memory?" Alira nodded. "Yes, that way people would not just see what happened. They'd understand it." Lucan's eyes lit up. That's genius." The others went quiet. Cale watched from above. Something inside him stirred, but then Mora's voice spoke through his earpiece. "Sir, I found it. Alira used a false ID. She was not invited. She sneaked in." Cale's face turned serious. That night, as stars shined above the tower, Lucan went back to his room. The white flower still glowed softly in the dome. He didn't know what Alira was hiding. But he knew one thing. She saw him, not the chair, not the sadness, just high. The night was quiet in the sky home. Stars twinkled through the glass roof. Soft winds passed around the tall tower, as if whispering secrets. But inside Cale Draven's private office, the air was tense. Cale stood near a wide screen, watching the footage of Alira. His eyes were calm, but his mind was full of thoughts. She was not on the list. She was not invited. She had used someone else's ID to enter the event, but she had done no harm. She had been gentle, kind, and honest in every word. Still, he needed answers. He sent a message to the main guest wing. "Ask Alira to come to my office, alone." Alira sat in her small guest room, looking out the window at the stars. She held her data pad, but she wasn't writing today. Her mind was on Lucan, the way he smiled, the way he lit up when talking about machines. It had touched something inside her. A soft knock came at the door. A robotic assistant stood outside. "Mr. Cale would like to speak with you. Please follow me." Alira nodded and stood up quietly. In the office, Cale waited. He was not angry, but he was cautious. When Alira entered, she stood tall. Her hands were calm. Her face showed no fear. Cale spoke first. "Alira, I want to ask you something. Please tell me the truth." She nodded. "I will." "You were not invited to this event," he said. "You used another girl's ID to enter." "Why?" Alira took a breath. Then she said softly, "Because I had to meet your son." Cale raised an eyebrow. Why? She looked down for a second, then met his eyes. I read a small story on the network, hidden under many news feeds. It was about a boy who used to build memory machines. A boy who had stopped smiling. A boy who had once written, "I wish someone could look past my wheels. I knew that boy was your son." Cale leaned back. He remembered that message. Lucan had written it on a private blog 2 years ago. Only a few people had seen it. Yet, this girl had read it. And remembered. Lyra continued, "I live on Europa. My family mines ice and metal. We don't have much. But I grow flowers from the frozen soil, white ones, strong ones. I thought, if I could give him something real, maybe I could also give him hope." Cale was silent. He saw no lies in her face. "I didn't come here to trick anyone," Lyra said. "I didn't want fame, I just wanted to meet him." Even once, Lucan was in the garden waiting. He had asked to meet Lyra again that morning, but she didn't come. Now he was getting worried. He asked Dree, "Where is she?" Dree replied, "She is with your father, sir, in his office." Lucan turned his chair sharply and rolled inside. His heart beat faster with each turn of the wheels. Back in the office, Cale stood up. He walked to the window and looked out. "You broke the rules," he said. "I know," Lyra replied. "But you brought something no one else did," he said, turning around. "You brought truth." At that moment, Lucan entered the room. He saw Lyra and his father standing face to face. "What's going on?" Lucan asked. Cale looked at his son. "Lucan, Lyra wasn't on the guest list. She used a false ID to join the event." Lucan stared at Lyra. She looked down, ashamed. "I'm sorry," she said. "I just wanted to meet you, that's all." Lucan was quiet. Then he moved his chair closer to her. "You gave me a flower," he said. "You didn't ask anything from me. You didn't lie to my face. You just cared." He looked at his father. "I don't care how she got here. I care why she stayed." Cale nodded slowly. "I thought you'd say that." Later that evening, the sun dipped low. Lyra sat beside Lucan in the garden again. The white flower still sat in the glass dome nearby. "Your dad didn't throw me out," she said. "He's good at reading people," Lucan said with a smile. "And he saw what I saw." Lyra tilted her head. "And what did you see?" Lucan thought for a moment. "A girl who didn't treat me like glass. A girl who brought life to a flower grown in frozen ground. Just like you brought something alive to me." Lyra looked down, touched. "I want to know more about you," Lucan said. "Not just the flower, everything." She nodded. And so they talked, not like strangers, not like guests, but like friends who had known each other for years. Lyra told him about her home, the small dome farms, the cold nights, the way light dances on ice. Lucan told her about his machines, his fear of being forgotten, his dreams of building something that could carry feelings, not just memories. They laughed. They dreamed. And they forgot the world for a while. But not everyone was happy. Inside the guest lounge, some of the other girls were watching. "She's not even supposed to be here," Vera said angrily. "She broke the rules." Zila added. "But he likes her," another girl whispered. "He really likes her." Vera crossed her arms. "We were chosen. We were tested and approved. And now she just shows up and takes his attention?" They didn't know what to do, but a few of them started talking about leaving early. Some were jealous, some were confused, but the story of the boy in the wheelchair and the girl with the white flower was just beginning. That night, Lucan went back to his room with a light heart. He looked at the flower, still glowing softly under the dome. He spoke quietly to himself. She wasn't invited. But maybe she's the only one who truly belonged. He smiled and turned off the lights. Outside, stars continued to shine across the deep black sky. And in one corner of the galaxy, hope had bloomed again. The next morning was peaceful in the sky home. Sunlight passed through the crystal windows. Birds made of soft metal sang light tunes from the rooftop gardens. Lucan sat near his flower dome, looking at the white petals once again. He gently touched. The glass, still fresh, he said to himself. The flower hadn't faded at all. It was as strong as Alira said. Grown in frozen Europa, it had survived space travel and days in his room. It felt like more than just a flower. It felt like a promise. Lucan smiled. He had a plan today. At breakfast, Cale sat with his son. They ate quietly at a long table of smooth silver wood. No workers, no robots. Just the two of them. I want to spend the day with her, Lucan said. Cale looked up. Alira? Lucan nodded. Just her. Cale thought for a moment, then replied, All right, but stay on the upper levels. Some people have started asking questions. Lucan raised an eyebrow. What kind of questions? Nothing serious yet, Cale said, not wanting to worry him. Just rumors, stories spreading outside. Lucan nodded slowly. People always talk. Let them. Later that day, Alira and Lucan sat in the sky garden. They were alone. The view around them was endless. Clouds floated below like soft pillows. Tall trees danced gently in the wind. A few robot butterflies flew past. Alira laughed softly. I never thought I'd be sitting in a place like this. Lucan grinned. I never thought I'd be smiling again. They sat side by side. Alira shared more stories of Europa, how her mother used to play music using frozen stones, how her little brother once tried to grow a tree in ice, and how flowers like the white one were so rare that only a few ever bloomed each year. Lucan listened carefully. Why did you give it to me? Alira turned to him. Because you needed it more than anyone I knew. Lucan looked away. A little emotional. Lir continued. You don't know this, but when I read your message online, I cried. I didn't even know your name then. But the way you wrote about feeling invisible, it reminded me of someone. Who? Lucan asked. My father, she said quietly. He lost his voice in a mining accident. People treated him like he was broken. But I knew he was still the same strong man. Lucan was silent. Then he said, And you gave him a flower too? Alira smiled. Yes, the first one I ever grew. Far away, inside Cale's security center, trouble was rising. One of Cale's assistants, Mora, entered with a tablet. Sir, we have a problem. Cale turned from the screen. Go on. Someone leaked information about Alira's presence here. A small tech news group posted a report calling her an unauthorized guest. Cale stood up slowly. Who leaked it? Possibly one of the other guests, Mora said. Or a jealous family from the matchmaking list. Cale sighed. He knew something like this might happen. What are people saying? He asked. Some are defending her, Mora replied. Others are accusing her of being a spy or a social climber trying to reach your family's power. Cale clenched his jaw. And Lucan doesn't know? No, sir. Cale walked to the window and looked at the clouds. Let's keep it that way, for now. But things moved fast in the galaxy. By the evening, the news had spread across dozens of colonies. Titles appeared on every screen. Unknown girl enters tycoon's secret event. The flower girl romance or trick? Disabled air falls for unauthorized guest. Social networks exploded with comments. Some supported Alira, saying she was brave and true. Others laughed at Lucan, calling him foolish and easy to fool. The story became a fire no one could stop. Lucan didn't see the news until late that night. He was in his room, building a small music bot. It was a gift for Alira. He wanted it to play songs made from flower patterns. Dree, his assistant, floated near and spoke carefully. Sir, I must inform you of something important. Lucan turned his chair. What is it? A news story. About Alira. It is now trending on over 4,000 media hubs. Lucan's heart stopped for a moment. He opened the screen. As soon as he saw the headlines, his hands went cold. He read the comments. Some were kind. Many were cruel. Lucan stared at the screen. His chest felt heavy. He wheeled toward the door and left the room. He found Alira in the moonlight garden. She was sitting under the star-glass tree, holding her data pad. She looked up as Lucan came near. Her face showed she already knew. "You saw it," she said quietly. Lucan nodded. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want to make you worry," she said. "I knew people might find out. But I didn't think it would spread this fast." Lucan looked at her, hurt. "Do you regret coming?" Alira looked down. "No, I only regret the pain it brings you." Lucan rolled closer. "Did you come for my name? My family? The money?" Alira shook her head. "No, I came for the boy who felt alone, because I knew how that felt." Lucan stared at her, searching her eyes. He believed her. "Then let them talk," he said. "I don't care what they say, I care about you." Alira's eyes filled with quiet tears. Lucan held out the small bot he had built. "I made this for you." She took it with shaking hands. She pressed the top, and it played soft music notes. "Shaped from the data of the white flower," Alira smiled. "It's beautiful." "So are you," Lucan whispered. Back inside, Kale received another message. This one was worse. A rival tech family known for causing trouble was using the story to attack Kale's reputation. They were calling for an investigation. Some even said Alira might have stolen company secrets. Kale's protection systems turned red. A new alert blinked on screen. "Security risk, targeted attack, possessively." Kale looked at the screen. Some went out. They wanted to tear everything apart. And this time, it wasn't just business. It was personal. The next morning, dark clouds covered the sky home. It wasn't real weather, just a signal. The tower's smart systems were under alert. Security bots moved through the halls. Drones scanned the skies outside. Lucan woke up to the sound of alarms, soft, not loud, but enough to warn that something was wrong. He sat up straight in bed. "Dree, what's happening?" Dree, his floating assistant, replied in a calm voice. "Sir, your father has activated level 2 security. No danger inside yet, but a possible cyber attack is in progress." Lucan's heart sank. "From who?" Dree answered. "Sources point to House Veltrin, your father's oldest tech rivals. They are spreading lies about Alira and trying to access our systems." Lucan clenched his fists. He already knew things were getting bad. But now, someone was turning Alira into a weapon against his family. In Kale Draven's private office, Mora showed him the latest reports. "Sir, House Veltrin is working fast. They've created fake documents. They claim Alira is a spy. They want the Council of Colonies to force an investigation." Kale stayed calm. "They're afraid of losing power. That's why they're attacking through her." Mora nodded. "They want to say you're weak, that your son made a foolish choice, that you allowed a stranger into your home, risking secrets." Kale looked at the screen showing Lucan and Alira in the garden. They were laughing softly, holding the little music. "Bot." The sight gave Kale strength. "I've built machines that run galaxies," Kale said. "But my son built something stronger, hope. And no one will take that from him." In the garden, Lucan sat with Alira again. The sky was dim now. The glass ceiling above had shifted to gray, matching the mood. Lira looked tired. Her face was pale. "They're calling me a thief," she said softly. "Some say I tricked you. Others say I came for secrets." Lucan nodded. "I saw the news." "I didn't know it would go this far," she said. "I only wanted to meet you. That's all." "I know," Lucan said. "And I still believe you." Alira looked away. "Maybe I should leave. It would make things easier for you. For your father. For everyone." Lucan turned his chair sharply to face her. No, he said. Running won't help. It'll only tell them they were right. But what can we do? Alira asked. I'm just one girl. You're just a boy in a chair? Lucan interrupted. Maybe, but I have something they don't. My voice. And people are listening now. He paused and added, if they want to watch us, let them. Let's show them the truth. That evening, Lucan went to his father with a bold idea. I want to speak to the public, he said. Liv, I want to tell them everything. About Alira. About the flower. About what this really means. Cale looked at him, surprised. Are you sure? He asked. Lucan nodded. I was silent for too long. Now I want to be heard. Cale smiled proudly. Then let's make sure the whole galaxy listens. The next day, a special broadcast was arranged. Cale used his private satellites and media channels. People from every colony tuned in Earth. Mars, Luna, Ceres, Europa, and beyond. The screen opened with a soft image. Lucan sitting in his chair, a white flower in a glass dome beside him. The camera zoomed in on his calm face. Hello, Lucan began, his voice steady. My name is Lucan Draven. I was in a crash 4 years ago. Since then, I've lived in silence. Not because I couldn't speak, but because I thought no one would hear me. He paused. Then someone gave me a flower. The image changed, showing Alira holding the flower. She wasn't invited to the event. She wasn't rich. She wasn't famous. But she saw me, not the chair, not the past, me. Lucan continued. I don't care what her name is or where she came from. I care what she brought into my life: honesty, courage, and a reason to smile. He looked straight into the camera. You call her a spy? A thief? Then call me a fool, because I trust her, I believe in her. And I'm not ashamed. He held the flower up in his hand. This is not a gift. It's a message. Even in the coldest place, something beautiful can grow. The message went viral. People all over the galaxy watched it. Some cried. Some clapped. Some started to think differently. Many who were disabled, forgotten, or lonely felt hope. They shared the video with tags like #SeeTheSoul, #WhiteFlowerTruth, #LukeN, and LIRA even. People who had doubted Alira began to ask questions. Was she really a threat, or just a brave girl with a kind heart? Cale's enemies grew quiet. House Veltron tried to release more fake stories, but most people stopped listening. Something had changed, but Alira wasn't celebrating. She sat alone in her guest room, holding the music bot Lucan gave her. It played a slow, soft tune from the flower's shape. Mora came in gently. Mr. Draven is ready to see you. Alira stood up. Is something wrong? No, Mora smiled. Something's finally right. In Cale's office, Cale stood beside. Lucan, Alira, Cale said, I owe you an apology. I doubted you. I searched your name, your past, your identity, and I found nothing. Alira looked nervous. But now I see it clearly, Cale added. You were never hiding. You were surviving. And now you've helped my son live again. Lucan wheeled closer and smiled at her. I told you they'd listen, he said. Alira smiled back, eyes shining. Cale placed a small card in her hand. What's this? She asked. It's an offer, he replied. A full scholarship to the FIAJIP to the Galactic Science Academy. You'll work with my team. Build the future. Alira looked shocked. Are you serious? Cale nodded. You've already built something no one else could. My son's happiness. That night, Lucan and Alira sat on the sky home balcony. The stars were clear again. The clouds had passed. Lucan pointed at the stars. One day, I want to build something that can send feelings across space. So people on Mars can feel what people on Europa feel. So no one feels alone again. Alira nodded. And I'll help. You. The music bot played softly between them. The white flower still glowed in its dome dot, and in the darkness above, the stars watched silently, proud of the small light that had begun to grow. A soft rain fell across the glass dome of the sky home. It wasn't real rain, just the tower's peaceful way of cleaning its top level. Inside, Lucan sat near his workshop table. Tools, wires, and tiny machines were scattered in front of him. But he wasn't building a bot today. He was writing something. Alira sat beside him, holding a cup of warm tea. Her eyes watched Lucan's face carefully. He was focused, serious, and calm. "What are you writing?" she asked. "A plan," Lucan said. "Something more than a speech. Something bigger." He turned the screen toward her. At the top it read, "The Bloom Initiative." Lucan explained his idea. He wanted to build a place digital and real, where disabled people across the galaxy could meet, share ideas, and grow together. A network that would not just help people with injuries, but give them purpose. He wanted every lonely heart, forgotten soul, and silent mind to know, "You are not alone." He looked at Alira. "You gave me a flower. Now I want to plant a garden." She smiled. "Then let's start digging." Meanwhile, Kale worked fast behind the scenes. He reached out to old allies, leaders, thinkers, doctors, and engineers. He asked for help not as a billionaire, but as a father. "The world doesn't need more machines," he told them. "It needs more meaning." Messages of support began pouring in. One came from a Mars hospital, where a girl born without legs wrote, "Lucan gave me courage. I showed his video to my class. Now we all believe in the white flower." Another came from a lunar orphanage. "We made our own memory bot using Lucan's designs. It plays our dreams every night." Across colonies and moons, people joined the cause, but not everyone was pleased. House Veltron, the rival tech family, had failed to bring down Kale through lies. Now they watched as Lucan's message grew into a movement. "They're turning this into a symbol," said Lord Veltron. "A flower and a chair. That's all it took." His advisors warned him. "The people support Lucan. If we strike now, it will backfire." Lord Veltron scowled. "Let the boy speak. Let him build. We'll wait until they become too bright. Then we'll cast the shadow." Back at the sky home, Lucan and Alira worked every day. They created blueprints for new machines, simple devices that helped people move, speak, feel, and connect. They weren't expensive or shiny. They were practical and beautiful. They also designed a floating station, the Bloom Hub, that would travel across planets, helping people learn and grow. Just like flowers, Lucan showed it to his father. "This will be our gift to the stars." Kale looked at the design, full of light, circles, and green spaces. "It's the most human thing I've seen in years." Soon, the Bloom Initiative had its own page, logo, and message. "Bloom where you are. Be seen, be heard, be whole." People from different backgrounds, rich and poor, strong and weak, young and old, joined the program. Everyone wanted to help. Kale donated a special AI that helped users talk through feelings. Engineers from Jupiter designed tools that attached to any wheelchair. A poet from Saturn wrote songs using only her eyes. It was no longer Lucan's project. It was humanity's project, but with the light came more attention. Media crews begged to interview Lucan and Alira. News screens wanted their love story. Some asked rude questions. Is she really in love with him? Would she still stay if he wasn't rich? Is this a real relationship or a media game? Lucan refused most interviews. He said only one thing publicly: "I don't need to prove what's real. I just need to protect it." Alira smiled when she heard that. They weren't trying to be perfect. They were trying to be true. One evening, Alira walked to Lucan's room and found him asleep in his chair. His head rested on the desk. The flower dome sat beside him, glowing softly. She gently placed a blanket over him and sat nearby, watching him sleep. Her eyes moved around the room walls filled with machines, drawings, and dreams. Then her eyes stopped on the message written on a small card beside the dome. "This flower grew in frozen ground. So did I. Alira read it again, and her eyes filled with quiet tears. The next morning, Cale entered the family garden and found Alira watering the plants. He walked slowly toward her. "Alira," he said, "I want to thank you." She turned. "For what?" "For saving my son," he said. "I couldn't fix his body, but you helped fix his heart." Alira shook her head. "I didn't fix anything. I just saw him." Cale smiled. "Sometimes that's enough." He reached into his coat and handed her a small box. She opened it and gasped softly. Inside was a tiny pin in the shape of the white flower made of silver and crystal. It sparkled. In the sunlight, "This is for you," Cale said. "The first seed of bloom." Alira held it close. "I'll wear it always." Then came the day Lucan had dreamed of. The Bloom Hub was complete. A round, floating station filled with light, gardens, learning rooms, and labs. It rose into the sky with soft engines, watched by a crowd across the system. Lucan gave a speech. From its bridge, Alira stood beside him, wearing the flower pin. "This is not just a station," he said. "It's a sign that we can grow, even after pain, that every soul matters. That kindness can carry us farther than any ship." People across planets clapped, cheered, and cried. It was more than a moment. It was a movement. That night, Alira and Lucan stood on the balcony, watching the Bloom Hub rise toward the stars. "We did it," Alira whispered. "No," Lucan said. "We started it." They held hands. Above them, stars glowed gently. Below them, Earth turned quietly. And in their hearts, something stronger than machines, sharper than science, and softer than flowers, was blooming. The Bloom Hub floated high above the clouds. Its soft lights glowed warmly against the dark space. Inside, people from many worlds worked, learned, and laughed together. It was a place where limits disappeared and dreams grew tall like trees. Lucan wheeled through the wide halls, passing gardens filled with strange flowers and small robots humming busy tunes. He felt the soft breeze from the air vents and smiled. This place was more than he ever imagined. Beside him, Alira carried a small box filled with seeds, flowers she had grown in frozen soil. She stopped at a large window and looked out at the endless stars. "Can you believe this started with a flower?" she said softly. Lucan smiled. "And a boy in a wheelchair." They laughed. Cale stood on the observation deck, watching his son and Alira. A proud smile touched his lips. He thought of the long journey, the accident, the silence, the doubts, and the battles. But more than anything, he saw hope shining through. He turned to Mora. "This is only the beginning." Mora nodded. "Yes, sir. The galaxy is watching." Back in the main hall, Lucan spoke to a crowd of new arrivals. People of all ages, many with disabilities, looked up with hope in their eyes. "Welcome to Bloom," Lucan said clearly. "This place is for everyone. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you can't do. What matters is what you believe in. We believe in each other." He paused. "Today, we start a new chapter. One where kindness grows stronger than fear, where every flower blooms." The crowd cheered. Alira and Lucan spent their days teaching and learning. They worked with engineers to improve mobility devices, designed new bots to help communication, and shared stories from their homes. Lyra showed Lucan how to care for the rare flowers she grew. Lucan taught her how to program bots that could play music using brain signals. Together, they created a world where science and heart met. One evening, as the stars twinkled far away, Lucan and Alira sat on the balcony, holding hands. "I never thought I'd have this," Lucan said. "A place where I'm seen for me." Alira smiled. "You gave me the courage to be myself too." Lucan looked up. "What do you think the future holds?" Alira laughed softly. "More flowers, more bots, more stories, and maybe more people like us." They both smiled. Not everything was easy. There were still challenges. Some colonies were slow to accept the idea of bloom. Some powerful families saw it as a threat. But with every difficulty, the community grew stronger. People sent messages of support, shared their ideas, and built their own small hubs. Lucan's dream was no longer just his. It belonged to millions. One day, a message came from the Council of Colonies. They invited Lucan and Alira to speak at the Galactic Assembly. "It's a big step," Kale said. "You'll show the galaxy your heart." Lucan nodded. "It's not just mine. It's everyone's." At the assembly, Lucan rolled onto the stage. The great hall was filled with leaders, thinkers, and citizens. He looked out at the crowd. "Thank you," he said, "for believing in us." He told the story of the flower, the wheelchair, and the courage to trust. He spoke about the Bloom Initiative, how it was not just a project, but a family of souls connected by hope. When he finished, the hall erupted in applause. People stood, cheered, and some wiped tears. Lucan looked to Alira. She smiled back, proud and strong. After the speech, reporters asked about the future. Lucan said, "We want to build a galaxy where no one feels invisible, where everyone has a chance to grow like a flower in the sun." Alira added, "And where kindness is the strongest power of all." As the days passed, Lucan and Alira continued to build. The Bloom Hub expanded to new planets. New friends joined. New ideas grew. Lucan's father, Kale, worked alongside them, his heart full of pride. Together, they showed that even in a universe filled with stars and machines, the greatest power was humanity. One night, under the soft glow of 1,000,000 stars, Lucan looked at Alira and said, "Thank you for bringing me a flower." Alira smiled. "Thank you for showing me how to bloom." They held hands, ready to face every new dawn. And so, a millionaire dad, his brave son, and a girl from a frozen world taught the galaxy a simple truth. No matter where you come from, or what challenges you face, kindness and hope can light the darkest path. And that is how the stars began to bloom.